Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare,
Ram Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dhanat Pramal Shishila Prabhupada. Thanks to everyone for joining this Friday satsang. So I will start with Kirtan. We'll be missing Mukunda Prabhu today. So will he be joining after some time or no?
No, he won't be able to join.
Okay.
So we will be doing a bhajan. We're going to be doing Shad Goswami Ashtakam and maybe a single.
So do you want me to share this lyrics
Sure,
for others?
Sure.
Okay, just hold on.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Kevalam Kalau Nasteva 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 Gatiranyata Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Kirtana Gana Gana Pada Premamritambo Nidhi Krishna Kirtana Gana Gana Pada Premamritambo Nidhi
Priya Priya Karao
Shri Chaitanya Kripa Bhagavo Vibhavo Bharamantarako Shri Chaitanya Kripa
Bharao Govi Bhavo Bharamantarako
Vande Rupa Sanatana Shiva Gopalako Vande Rupa
Sanatana Gagujugo Gopalako
Vande Rupa Sanatana Shiva Gopalako Vande Rupa
Sanatana
Shiva Gopalako Nana Shastra Vidarane Kanipuno Shadadharma Sanstapako Nana Shastra
Vicharana Kaini Puno
Shadadharma
Sanstapako
Lokanam Hitakarina Vibhupane Manya Sharanyakaro Lokanam
Namitakarino Tribhuvane
Manya
Saranyakaro
Radha Krishna Padaya
Padara Vindayana
वृंदावन राधा कृष्ण महर्निशं प्रभजतो जीवातलो यमुना राधा
कृष्ण महर्निशं जीवातलो यमुना
वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको
रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो गोपालको
संख्यापूर्वक नाम गान निति कालावसानि कृता
पूर्वक नाम गाननति कालावसानिकृता
नेत्राहार विहार कानि विजिता
नेत्राहार विहारकादि विजितो मंत्रदीनौ चयो
राधा कृष्ण गुणास्मृते मधुरिमा नन्देन सम्मोहितो राधा कृष्ण
गुणास्मृते मधुरिमा
नन्देन सम्मोहितो वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको
वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो
राधा कुंड तटे कालिंदी तनया तीरे जवं श्रीवते राधा
कुंड तटे कलिंद
तनया तीरे जवं श्रीवते प्रेमोन्मादवशात् शेषदशया प्रस्तो प्रमदो सदा
प्रेमोन्मादवशात्
प्रस्तो
प्रमदो सदा
गायन्तो जगदा हरिर्गुणगणा भावामि भूतो मुदा गायन्तो जगदा भावामि भूतो मुदा वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको वन्दे
रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो गोपालको
वन्दे रूप सनातनो रघुजुगो श्रीजीवगोपालको वन्दे रूप
सनातनो रघुजुगो
श्रीजीवगोपालको तेरा देव व्रज देव के जगहिते हे नंद सुनो पुकार तेरा देव
देवी
सुनो पुकार श्री गोवर्धन कल्प पाद पतले काली बने कुदार श्री गोवर्धन Sadhu Goswami Ashtakam ki jai. Srila Prabhu jai. Harinam Singh
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Kanchan Mataji ki jai. Wonderful, wonderful recitation.
All good.
Very nice.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandatnam Alvarishya Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanapranam Alvarishya Prabhupada. Jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Sanghर्ष Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, I was just requesting you to do maybe a shorter class today. Just because just a little tired and want to take rest, health reasons, so
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. All right, so should we quickly do a little bit of a recap from last time? Short, quick one, and then we can move forward.
Yes, Prabhu, sure, definitely. Anybody wants to volunteer? Saujanya Mataji always does. So let's see who else.
Yes.
Sorry, Mataji.
I was just trying to say I need little time to think because I was thinking
Okay. I will give you a chance
ready
this time. So
Sure, bros. I was not fully ready. I wanted to say that I'm not fully ready.
No worries, no worries. We can just move forward.
Yeah, Ramcham Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
I'm just checking Prabhuji if I have note.
Okay, you can add up, Prabhu. So whatever I know, I'll tell so that we
Yeah.
can be quick. Because Prabhuji also have to leave. So Prabhuji, last week we learned about sloka 4.7, 4.8, and 4.9 we just decided, and we thought we will discuss more in this session.
Yeah.
4.7 was yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamiham. So Krishna, now before even this, you explained why this context came into picture, because Arjuna had asked Krishna a little earlier of this, that Krishna, you said you have explained this to the sun god. So Arjuna was inquisitive to know how come Krishna, he's just senior to him here, but how come you can teach to Vivaswan? So then Krishna says that I can remember all the past, all of his past, but Arjuna cannot remember because Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then his birth is not like any other human birth. Okay, so that's why Krishna comes. So then Arjuna asks, "Why? When do you come?" So Krishna explains that I'll come millennium after millennium. So why he comes, and every birth of Krishna, whether it could be directly him or it could be incarnations, different incarnations in different yugas, then there is a reason why he comes. Okay, so in this particular context, he says that I have come here to paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya tajjuskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He says to annihilate the miscreants and to re-establish the principles of religion. He appears, this millennium he has appeared himself, not as any avatar. So to give this knowledge. So as I said, he gave knowledge to sun god so that other ordinary people can follow in this material world. So we, as a normal human body, human birth, we tend to forget why we came here, but Lord doesn't forget. Now he has come here to teach us specific objectives, why we are here. So that is why Krishna appears. Like, for example, you also gave an example of Buddha avatar. So he came at that point of time, they were all killing animals. So he came in that particular form as Buddha to teach those people non-violence. Okay, so in order to stop killing, he came as Buddha. So that people can stop violence first, even before coming to knowing the scriptures. Okay, so he comes as time, place, and circumstance accordingly. Like he appeared as Ramachandra to establish, how a king should be, how a family person should be. So to teach others, ordinary people. So likewise, his birth is very divine. So we will learn that also in next sloka. His birth is very divine. His activities are divine. So that is where we are up to, Prabhu. So Ramsham Prabhu, if you want to add anything, you can add, please.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, yeah, pretty much already Prabhuji has summarized. So, last class we had 4.7, 4.10, 4.9. So 4.7, that is Prabhuji has mentioned, which is very, very important one. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyatanam adharmasya tadatmanam sriyamyaham. And next one, paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yoga yoga. So Krishna's appearance, Krishna is eternal. He appears millennium after millennium to re-establish the dharma, because over the period of time dharma seems to be disappears. So or dharma becomes like dharma projita kaitavatra, so kind of, so to maintain the correct dharma, so to because lots of false dharmas kaitavatras are there. So people misinterpret the paro dharma, real dharma. So to re-establish, Krishna appears here. And then the next paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuga yuga. To protect the devotees and paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam, to annihilate the that is demons, and vinasaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuga. Means yeah, so to re-establish the religion, he appears. And the one very important I have heard in the lecture, like Krishna can do the sankalpa, just he can think and he can do these all things. No need to do these all things, Krishna himself. Krishna part and parcel, or Krishna devotee, or Krishna, like Satyaves, Avataraj, and all those, all they can do these all work. But why Krishna appears? So Krishna appears here, it is said like Paritranaya Sadhunam. So only not to protect the devotee, but to give the darshan to the devotee, to show the to show himself to the devotees, he appears. Because to take his darshan, it is not like possible. Like devotees and not devotees, gyanis and all are taking thousands of thousands birth, and then even though they are not able to take his darshan, like Manusyanam Sahasresu Kaschid, something like that, there is the sloka. So that one. Specifically for you, Prabhuji, you mentioned, I noted that you quoted that Prayane Alpa Yusa Sakya Kalave Asmin Yuga Jana Mand Sumand Matya Mand Bhagya Hi Padrita. So you were referring to the, like Lord appear in Kali Yuga at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So and he given the like Sankirtan Sankirtan Yagna, which is very easy and sublime to do in this Kali Yuga, because those other things in the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, those things are very difficult now, and we will not be able to perform as which is required, the purification and everything. So you quoted this one. So that's the, and if we link this one to the in the Kali Yuga, only one good thing is there. There are so many faults in the Kali Yuga, but only one good thing is there, which is by Sankirtana Yagna, one can get the love of the God. So that's the beauty of the Kali Yuga, and we can go back to Godhead. So that's what I wanted to say, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Okay. So maybe then we'll move forward. I actually today was wanted to talk a little bit more about these verses, because there is a very interesting reference to these verses in Srimad Bhagavatam also. So anyway, we can read 2-3 verses of Bhagavad Gita, and then we'll so if you like, let's just read 7, 8, and 9 again today, because I wanted to point out in Bhagavatam where this very similar reference is made. So yes, go ahead, Prabhu. Chapter 4, text 7.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yada yada hi dharmasya gyanirvavati bharata abhidhyanamadharmasya yada yada hi dharmasya
Yada yada hi dharmasya
gyanirvavati bharata
Glanirvavati Bharata
अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य
तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Tadatmanam
आत्मना
Srijamyaham.
श्रियाम्यहम्.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline of religion practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of religion, at that time I descend myself. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can I
8.
Paritranam.
Paritrayan sadhana
परित्राणाय
Sadhana.
साधूनां
Vinayaya Chatuskrita.
vinashaya cha duskritam
विनाशाय च दुष्कृताम्
dharmasya samstapanam staya
Dharma
संस्थापनार्थाय
sambhavami yuge yuge.
संभवामि युगे युगे.
Translation: to deliver the pious and to annihilate
the miscreant.
miscreant, as well as to establish the principle of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium.
Thank you for this.
So,
We'll read 4.9 also too.
yes, please.
Okay. Rajna is there?
No, 9. Janma karma chame divyam
जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम्
evam yo veti tatvata
एवं यो वेद ततः
tyaktva deham punarjanma
स्वादेहं पुनः
naiti mam eti so arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we move ahead. So it's very interesting when talking about when Krishna says Pratyanaya over Yada Yada hi Dharmasya Glani Bhavati Bharata. And so this verse actually is in Srimad Bhagavatam also there is a very similar verse. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 24, verse 56. So maybe you can pull it up. Where while you're pulling it up, I'll just read it. So the verse is Yada Yada hi Dharmasya Kshayo Vridhischa Papmana Tadatu Bhagwan Isha Atmanam Shrajate Hari. So it is basically the exact same verse. Yada hi Dharmasya Kshayo. Kshayo means it is deteriorating. So in Bhagavad Gita it says Yada Yada hi Dharmasya Glani, and here he says Yada Yada hi Dharmasya Kshayo. And then Vriddhi, Vriddhischa Papmana. So Vriddhi means increasing. Cha Papmana meaning sinful activity. So Yada Yada hi Dharmasya, then Glani Bhavati Bharata, Abhyuttanama Dharmasya, as a dharma increases. So here Bhagavatam is saying Vriddhischa Papmana. Then Tada tu Bhagwan Isha. At that time, Bhagwan, the Supreme Controller, Atmanam Shrajate Hari. Atmanam means personally. Shrajate, he descends. Supreme Personality of God. So now, over there, the context was different. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the context was, this is the genealogical description of the descendants of different dynasties. And it describes the dynasty in which Vasudeva appeared. Krishna's father Vasudeva, the dynasty in which he appeared. And so then we come to the part where they've described the various siblings of Vasudeva. And then they describe Vasudeva had many wives. Devaki was one of them. And even Mother Rohini was one of his wives. And as you all know, Lord Balaram was the son of Mother Rohini. And Devaki's one of the sons, or eighth son, was Krishna. So in that context, when this is being described, that what is the genealogical, the lineage, you see, Vasudeva and his father, and so on and so forth. So in that, they describe this particular verse. But it's very interesting that the verse is exactly the same, or almost the same, but the meaning is the same. Because I'll read the translation. Translation says, whenever the principles of religion deteriorate and the principles of irreligion increase, the supreme controller, the personality of God, Shri Hari, appears by his will, appears by his own will. So then another verse, so 4:8 was Pritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Cha Dushkritam, right? Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Samvami Yuge Yuge. So here in Bhagavatam, in text 58, the verse is very similar, but I mean, the Sanskrit is slightly different, but the main meaning is very similar. And I'll just read the translation. Translation says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation, just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. Thus, he enables living being to return home back to God. So this is such a beautiful verse. This is 9:24:58, where Krishna is saying, or where Shukdev Goswami is saying, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead acts through his material energy in the creation, maintenance, annihilation of this cosmic manifestation. Because many people ask the question that why has God created the material world if this is a place for suffering? This is a place for suffering for the living entity. Why has he created this material world? And so in this verse, it is explained that actually the material world is created basically just to deliver the living entity. Because the living entity wanted to come into the material world, the Lord has created it in such a manner that actually he is helping them get out of here. They want to come here and he helps them get out of here. They want to come again, he says, no, no, no. He tries to help them come out of there. So this is the Lord's very kind mercy. And it says, Anugrahas tad nirvritte. Anugrahas tad nivritte. Atma labhaya cheshyate. Meaning, Anugraha is compassion. Tan nivritte, the creation and manifestation of the cosmic energy to stop the repetition of birth and death. So, even though Bhagavad Gita says Paritranaya Sadhunam and Vinashaya Cha Duskritam, and we'll see that also is mentioned here. Vinashaya Cha Duskritam will also come in a next verse. But to deliver Paritranaya Sadhunam, to deliver the pious, and here Bhagavatam is saying to help the living entity come out of the cycle of birth and death. Now, of course, to come out of the cycle of birth and death, the living entity has to do certain things, which is basically to follow the principles of devotional service. Otherwise, they'll stay stuck in this material world. So that's why Bhagavad Gita says, Paritranaya sadhuna. So to deliver the devotees. And here, Bhagavatam is saying, to stop the living entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. So same message. And in the purport, Prabhupada nicely explains that materialistic people, if they ask why this material world has been created, if it is a place for suffering, and the answer here is, even though it is a place of suffering, it actually gives the living entity a chance to get liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Because it's a place of suffering, they won't want to stay here. If they realize that, then they have the opportunity to follow the principles of devotion service and get out of the cycle of birth and death. Then there is more in text 59. Then there is more instruction regarding how the affairs of this material world are conducted, and also about how the why was the battle of Kurukshetra, why was that arranged by the Lord? So first thing that Bhagavatam says, and this, when was the Bhagavatam written? Or when was it spoken?
5,000 years back.
5,000 years ago, right? But see, just hear the translation of this next verse. It is 59. I don't know, do you all have it up? Maybe somebody else can read instead of me.
Yeah,
reading.
Prabhuji, I have that.
Okay,
But
so
Prabhuji, can I ask you a question? You said
Yes.
when was Srimad Bhagavatam is written or Bhagavad Gita?
Bhagavatam. I was asking about Bhagavatam because we are just reading the Bhagavatam verse. So that also 5,000. Go ahead,
But
Mata.
is that the when Parikshit Maharaj asked, and that's when Sukadeva Goswami said, but before that there was no Srimad Bhagavatam?
No, before that there wasn't, because the Srimad Bhagavatam that we are reading is a conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj.
Oh, okay. Yes.
The principles of Bhagavatam, of course, have been there right from the beginning of creation.
Yes.
But the conversation that we are reading, the verses that we are reading, the 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, those are from 5,000 years ago. So yes, please go ahead. Somebody, text 59.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Akshahinam itirvir.
You can just read the translation from just
Okay,
time.
Prabhuji. Translation by His Divine Grace, Vachana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Although the demons who take possessions of the government are dressed like men of the government, they do not know the duty of the government. Consequently, by the arrangement of God, such demons who possess great military strength fight with the one another, and thus the great burden of the demons on the surface of the earth is reduced. The demons increase their military power by the will of the Supreme, so that their numbers will be diminished and the devotees will have a chance to advance in Krishna consciousness.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You think about, this was written 5,000 years ago and how true it is today.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. So the demons are going on increasing their military power. We are seeing that. Russia, Ukraine, NATO, everybody's very, very tense right now because they are all increasing their military power. And They'll just fight with one another. And then Bhagavatam says, then they'll end up killing each other. And thus the burden of the demons on the earth will be reduced.
Yeah.
Imagine, World War I happened, World War II happened. So all these things are going on, and Bhagavatam has predicted that. And they're saying, Bhagavatam is saying, Sukdev Goswami explaining, that in the dress of the government, actually the demons are dressed up as government, basically, because in Kali Yuga, they don't put the Raj Rishi. There are no Raj Rishis. The king or the leader is not a devotee. They're demoniac people. And we are seeing that for a fact. And but in this verse, the indication is that the government's role is actually to make people Krishna conscious. Not to just increase their military power and keep fighting with each other and killing each other and taking over each other's land. The government's real duty, the king's real duty is to make people Krishna conscious. That's why then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varnam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Right? So I created this system of 4 varnas and ashrams so that people may advance in Krishna consciousness. And the government is there, the leaders are there to ensure that this system, varnashram system, is implemented in their jurisdiction so that the people may live by the principles of Shastra and thereby make their life successful and come out of this cycle of birth and death. We saw that in verse 58, Krishna says, I have created this material world to give people an opportunity to come out of the cycle of birth and death. But what they have to do in turn is they have to follow the principles of religion. And the government should be there to facilitate that everybody follows principles of religion. But if the government is demoniac, then they will not facilitate the principles of religion. So Krishna says, then I will help them increase their military power so that they can go around and they will just kill each other and reduce the burden of the demons on the earth, and then the devotees may be able to practice their practices without the disturbances from the demons. So this is very interesting. Then next verse, well, the next verse, okay, if somebody wants to read the translation for verse 60.
Can read, Prabhuji.
Okay, well.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, with the cooperation of Sankarshana, Balarama, performed activities beyond the mental comprehension of even such personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. For instance, Krishna of Kurukshetra to kill many demons for the relief of the entire world.
See, Hare Krishna. So Krishna's plan was there already beforehand to arrange for this battle of Kurukshetra so that the number of demons would be reduced. Then the next verse, 61. Narasimhan Prabhu, you want to read 61?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. What is the chapter, Prabhuji? Sorry.
Canto 9, chapter 24.
Okay, Prabhuji. 61.
Yes.
Translation. To show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future in this age of Kali, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. In other words, he acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So he says, to show causeless mercy to the devotees who would take birth in the future in Kali Yuga, the Supreme Personality Godhead acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from the lamentation and unhappiness of material existence. So, and then in parentheses it says, he acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. Now he acted in a certain way. What was the actions? Well, many actions were there. He lifted Govardhan Hill, but specifically when we're talking Bhagavad Gita, we're talking about the battle of Kurukshetra. And so here we find that the Lord is so merciful. In the battle of Kurukshetra, so many people died, and the Lord arranged for them to die like that. But we also read Paritranaya Sadhuna and Vinashaya Cha Duskritam. So we are seeing Duskritinas were destroyed. But when Krishna came, and this verse says Krishna acted in such a way that people could be relieved simply by remembering him. He killed so many demons, right? Personally, Putna, Tinavarta, Kans, so on and so forth. These were his actions, or these were some of his actions. And the Lord is so merciful that not only Paritranaya Sadhuna, but even when he does Vinashaya Cha Duskritam, when he kills the demons, they are also liberated. So the Lord's killing and protecting, they are both good. When he protects the devotee is pleased. When he kills the demon is liberated. So any action the Lord performs is always beneficial. And that is the special way in which the Lord acts. So this verse says, simply by remembering the activities of the Lord, meaning whether he's killing or whether he's protecting, if we remember those pastimes, we remember those activities, our own mind is purified. Our own faith in the Lord is strengthened. And therefore our desire to follow his instructions is also strengthened. The main thing is we are struggling with how to follow the Lord's instructions in our day-to-day life. That is our biggest challenge. The instructions are there, instructions are provided to us. It's not that the instructions are not there. The challenge is how do we implement them? How do we follow them in our lives? So in order to make them more approachable and followable, the Lord performs all these pastimes so that when we start remembering these pastimes or reading about them or thinking about them, our faith in him increases. Our remembrance of him increases. And that's how we can make advancement in spiritual life. So, and then the following verses talk, they're just 2, 3, 4 more verses. They talk about the process of hearing, which frees one from the pangs of material desires. Okay. So I wanted to share these verses with you because when we read them in the Bhagavad Gita, were you aware that the very similar verses are there in Srimad Bhagavatam as well? I was not aware till I came across these and I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's almost word to word the same. Of course, it is presented in Srimad Bhagavatam in the context of describing the lineages. And then by the time they come to Vasudev, then they say, okay, now Krishna is going to appear as Vasudev's son. And then Bhagavatam explains why Krishna is coming as Vasudev's son. And there are so many practical applications of these verses. And the thing that jumped out at me was, imagine how the problem with government and society has been described 5,000 years ago, and we are exactly seeing that happening today. Modern history, is full of these sorts of examples, and we are seeing. So it increases our faith that the Lord is actually all this that is happening. All we have to focus on is think about the Lord, remember the Lord, try to serve him, follow his instructions, and we will be successful, because the reason the Lord has created this material world, again, that was, I think, text 58. Yeah. Just to deliver the living entity by his compassion and stop the living entity's birth, death, and duration of materialistic life. All right. So any comments or questions and all that you might have?
Prabhuji, the point of having even the having Srimad Bhagavatam right before Kali Yuga, so that through Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami, even that itself is Krishna's arrangement for us for Kali Yuga, to prepare for this. So
You're right.
like there also is helping us, to help us only he did this. So the arrangement is so well planned. Lord's arrangement.
The Lord's arrangements are always perfect.
So in this simple short question, that Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadduskratam. Okay, so we know that to annihilate the miscreants, so that because miscreants were there, okay,
right,
and then to establish the religious principles. So that also we know, because there was a religion going on. But to protect the devotees, that point is not, I mean, to my understanding, is not clear, because devotees are already protected actually by default, right? Krishna guarantees that devotees are already protected. Again, why he says to protect the devotees have come here?
You mean in the verse Paritranaya sadhuna?
Yeah, sadhuna is already sadhu. They are devotees. Devotees are already by default protected by Lord. So again, he says to protect the devotees have come here. Whether he comes or not, they are protected.
So you see, because when he comes, the arrangement that is made for him to come is such that there is always a relationship with the devotee. What I mean by that is, like when he came as Lord Nrsimhadev, he came because his devotee Prahlad was being ill-treated. So the Lord has a personal relationship with his devotees. And so to protect them, he appears. And so when you said it's a valid point that the devotees are by default protected by the Lord, but the common man doesn't know that. So in order for them to know that, the Lord states clearly that Paritranaya sadhuna. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known for sure, but it is through these, because when you hear somebody say it, like if somebody says the devotee protected by the Lord, then as Prabhupada says, we have to give scriptural reference. Where are we getting that idea from? Is it because it cannot be our opinion? And so then we can give reference to the Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam, the Lord himself is saying. And all of these are basically, scripture is dharmam to sakshat bhagavad pranigam, that the principles of religion are directly enunciated, directly spoken by the Lord. And here we are seeing in this text, the Lord is himself directly saying Paritranaya sadhunam. So we have scriptural reference why we believe as devotees that we are protected by the Lord.
Okay, yeah, makes sense, Prabhu. Thank you.
Welcome, Prabhu. Good, nice clarification question. Other comments, thoughts? Yes, Nrsimha Prabhu.
Then only we will get faith, Prabhuji. Otherwise, we will be in the illusion and you won't think of Krishna, then you won't remember him. So we are protected, but by he's reassuring more and more by explaining like this, so that we stay even more protected and enlightened.
Right.
It's a good question and good answer. I was thinking, what will you tell? What answer could be? I was thinking.
It's a
Thank
good
you,
question. Good question.
Yeah, Prabhuji, really, as you told, like, you are not aware of, there is similar verses in Bhagavatam, as it is there in the Bhagavad Gita. So I was not at all aware about that. When you told, like, so then I start thinking of, it is there. So I start searching in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the copy of that same verse, but that Bhagavatam, yeah, of course, because that was written by Sukadeva Goswami. By Vyasdev and told by Sukadeva Goswami. So that is having, the different version of that. Since this is written by Krishnadas Kaviraj, so he had taken many verses from Bhagavatam itself. So yeah.
Yeah, he quotes many verses from Bhagavatam also.
So, but that is nice. We should have the the links, how things are getting drive. So
yeah,
that's nice project. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
But this is really amazing, Prabhuji, because especially these two verses are so famous. A lot of people would know this. And then if we come to know that that such famous verses are also referenced like this in even Srimad Bhagavatam, it's even more reassuring, and it's very good to know.
Yeah.
Thank
The
you.
verse in Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna himself, and then in Bhagavatam, his devotee is saying the same content, basically, slightly different words.
Why in India? Even when I was in India, I didn't even know that there's something called like Srimad Bhagavatam, and only in ISKCON we see people talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, but not in any other religions. See, because this is considered as one of the Bhagavad Puranas. Am I right, Prabhuji? But then really, Srimad Bhagavatam, there's so much given, like even about the science, time, everything. But why it's not so popular, Prabhuji? I feel sad, but at the same time, see, everything else becomes famous. Not the main things. I don't know why. It's just...
Yeah, you see, because of course, we are very thankful to Prabhupada for giving us this knowledge. Without him, we would not have had it. And in India, I have heard, even before I knew about Srimad Bhagavatam, I had heard about Bhagavad Sapta and all these things, but didn't know where it was coming from. So again, we feel very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada and how nicely he describes it right from the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, that this is, he explains how Bhagavatam actually came into being. In India, everybody knows about the Vedas, right? Everybody knows about Vedas. They don't know about Bhagavatam, but they know about Vedas. They've heard, yes, Vedas are there, and our religion is coming from there. But then Vyasadev instructed, or Narmuni instructed Vyasadev, after Vyasadev wrote the Vedas and he was not satisfied, to glorify the Lord some more, because Vyasadev had written in the Vedas, there is Karmakand and all that also, So then he wrote the Vedanta Sutras, but he was still not satisfied. And then Narmuni said, no, just focus on the pure essence of the Vedas, which is devotional service. And then when Vyasadev did that, he wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam, or he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so that is how the Srimad Bhagavatam came into being. And so Shukdev Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Vyasadev while he was in his mother's womb, and he remembered it completely. You see, and then now what we are reading here is what he narrated to Parikshit Maharaj. So you're right. I mean, this has been there for a long time, but people are not aware. And we are thankful for Prabhupada for explaining this whole sequence to us. And
Because
when
they know
people understand,
Ramayana.
yeah, when people understand the sequence, then they say, oh, okay, this is wonderful. Yeah.
They know Ramayana, they know Mahabharata, they know so many other things,
Yeah.
but not Bhagavad. Even if we mention, some people think that, oh, Bhagavatam, then it's all about Krishna stories. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
Yeah, means that is very true. Like Ramayana is having 24,000 verses, right, Prabhuji?
Something like that, probably. I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Ramayana is having 24,000 verses, and Bhagavatam 18,000 verses. But still, Ramayana is more. I mean, people maybe because that is in Awadhi language, and this is Hindi related and easy, and could be. And this even what you are saying, like Bhagavad Saptah. So I have seen on the Astha TV and all they were doing earlier. So those are means they do something differently. It's not really what we are, the sequence, procedure, and method we are following like in a proper way. So there they will start, more and more only, like kind of. We can say karm kandi kind of, so more and more only kirtan, singing kind of, and less even they start from how the how this bhakti and that what is their sons, and they met in the Vrindavan, and they are from directly. So not in the beginning of the chapters where Kunti Maharani and all are there, then she's glorifying to the Lord, Yudhishthir Maharaj and all. So those all things are escaped in those things. Means when they do that. Yeah. So we are very fortunate that we came in this association, and Prabhupada is so much he has done for us. So that's what we are very lucky. One I was watching the drama of one of the very famous devotee. They made like, so he made the presentation for approx 100 200 pages and slides, and his boss did not check that, like and he totally ignored what he has written this much of so he was very angry. He was very angry. I prepared day and night, and 200 slides, so he did not check that. Okay, so like that. And then so what he's saying, that the same, like we are at the same kind of doing here. Prabhupada has written those all things, and are we reading those all things? So it is so if I am feeling angry that my manager or my boss has not checked, I have prepared 200 of slides. Prabhupada has prepared, so many pages, so many books, so many. Are we really reading that? And so how Prabhupada will be feeling? Still, he never be angry, and he giving the blessings. So when we do little efforts, and if somebody we are not getting recognized, then we become agitated. So that's what something he was trying to educate us from the drama, that so Prabhupada has given everything, so we should read those all things so that we can get purified.
Very good point. Very nice. Okay, Prabhuji.
Sorry, keeping you late, but
No problem, Prabhu. If there are no other questions, comments, then we can stop. I don't know. I think Narasimhan Prabhu he had unmuted his mic once. I'm not sure if he had something to say, but
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Just wanted to say
yes.
thank you for the class. It was very nice to hear, and about how the creation has such a divine purpose, and how those verses are there in the Bhagavatam. It was really amazing, and how about the current scenario and the government and all those things. Just reminded me of one quote of Srila Prabhupada, like where he said, "Give this one life to Krishna and see what happens." So it is very clear from these, verses and all that what lies in the future for anyone who gives one life to Krishna. That's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, that's a very important quote, actually. Prabhupada, give one life, Krishna, see what happens. So, on that note, let's hopefully we can nicely try and follow the principles and make spiritual progress. Thank you all, Prabhu. Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Vanchakaltarubhyasya kripa sindhavaya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Hare Krishna.